Oh, there's some fun.
Hello, fermented folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show gives me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hates it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry.
this is it right here. Hello, fermented folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we drink beer together and debate the best movies, books, and shows in the genre fiction realm, whether that be horror, sci-fi, or fantasy. Tonight, it happens to be some weird combination of all three, because we're discussing Peter Jackson's King Kong. If you haven't seen that, the hell you doing? Go ahead and go check it out. If you don't care about spoilers and you haven't seen it, keep watching. If you do care about spoilers and you haven't seen it, go away, because we spoil everything on this show. So yeah, that's all you need to know for right now. And our guest tonight is a excellent filmmaker from the Seattle area, a personal friend of mine, and one of the people who I worked with in my very, very, very early creative career. Owe a lot to you, Justin. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Justin Robert Vinall. We're happy to have you, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to jump on here and talk a little bit of the one of the godfathers of kaiju.
Hell yeah. Justin is an avid frothing at the mouth kaiju fan, so I'm sure we'll get into that quite a bit. But yeah, before we do that, we're going to go through our personal updates like we always do. Travis, let's start with you.
For the first time in 3 episodes, I do not have news about Warner Brothers Studios, so
thank goodness.
so nothing too dire. Yeah, I don't know. My life has been pretty boring, and when we have successive episodes back and forth, I sometimes scramble to think, like, what is it that I can update on? But I just remembered I'm in the final legs of my teacher certification program, which, for those who haven't been listening, I have to do an alternate to normal teacher certification because my subjects that I teach are not really state mandated, philosophy and theology. And so I've been doing that for like 2 years, and I have 2 things to turn in, and then I'm done. I have to turn in a portfolio of like my work through the whole program and a teaching philosophy, which I wrote, and I'm just waiting for the edits back. And then I have a big stamp on my resume that says, this guy's good. he can do the job, and that'll be nice.
The all-important stamp. I'm glad you're one step closer to getting that, buddy. Jeremy, what's going on with you?
Well, it was very exciting. Got to prepare for this episode by watching King Kong with my wife and my dog. And, it was an incredible viewing experience because I had only seen it as a child and she had never seen it before at all. And my dog had also never seen it before. So it was very exciting. It was great.
Hell yeah. Who is more scared of it, your dog or your wife?
My wife, by far.
I bet your dog was talking mad trash, though, because there's a lot of things
to
look
look
at in this movie.
Yeah, there's.
Oh yeah, she was not taking any guff from anybody at any point.
They needed her on Skull
Even when
Island.
no one was giving it. Yeah.
My personal update is I'm officially the owner of a Stein now. Look at this thing.
Ooh,
That thing kind of sick. It's actually like an old tribute to firefighters Stein.
Oh.
And I got this recently at a bachelor party. One of the guys in the party, his grandfather had a collection of these Steins, so he just had a huge box of like really nice Steins that he was giving away. Because otherwise they were gonna like go to Goodwill and stuff. So that was pretty sweet. I now have a Stein. I've always like walked by Steins and been like, maybe I'll get one of those, and then I never do, and now I have one.
Hmm.
Because I didn't
There you
have to
go,
make
bud.
that decision. It was money was not involved. And it's a pretty ballin' bachelor party gift, you know? You never know what you're gonna get. I've gotten everything from a watch to a Stein now, so this is pretty sweet. Thanks a lot, Casey. Shout out. And congratulations to my boy Kyle of Badwater Bouldering. He watches the show sometimes. He's in India right now getting married. And he's been doing that for like a week because that's how it works in India when you get married. I think he's
Nice.
still got a few days to go. So shout out to you, Kyle. Love you, brother. Congrats on your marriage. Congrats to you, Anshu. You guys are fucking awesome. And speaking of fucking awesome, Justin Robert Vinall is fucking awesome. Justin, why don't you tell the people of the Fermented universe why you're so awesome, and where they can find you to learn about that awesomeness for themselves.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me again. Yeah, my name is Justin Robert Vinall. I am a co-founder for a Pacific Northwest production studio called Next Floor Entertainment. I've been a genre filmmaker working professionally in the industry here since 2015. I am also part of the Directors Guild of America and have made a handful of horror short films in particular, one of which stars Clay. And yeah, so I've just had the great fortune of working with a lot of fantastic and wonderful collaborators over the past decade that I still work with to this day, and keep refining the type of like moody genre horror films that I like to kind of dive into. Right now, I have a short proof of concept called Stargazer, which has been circling festivals this past year. It premiered at the Seattle International Film Festival and has played as recently at the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival, where it won best horror short film, which was pretty fucking wicked. But yeah, no. So I've just been. Oh shoot. That scared me. No, that was I'm all flustered. No, I'm just happy to be here, and more than happy to talk shop about Peter Jackson and one of his films here.
Sweet.
Absolutely, brother,
yeah.
and we're stoked to have you. Sorry for spooking you with the applause. I guess
I love it.
you didn't know we were coming with that smoke, but we are. So now you know, and now you're ready. Hopefully, you're ready enough that you're down to go into this debate, because that's what we're going to do next. So again, we're covering Peter Jackson's King Kong. This was a remake done by aforementioned director in 2005. It's King Kong, you know? If you don't know the story, essentially they go to this, a group of people go to this island to shoot a film. They want to shoot it at this exotic location because the director, so this is in Peter Jackson's version, there's many iterations throughout the King Kong like story and universe and remakes that get them to Skull Island in a different way, but essentially the point is they get to Skull Island and their lead actress gets captured by the locals or just by King Kong, and they rescue her. And then in the process of trying to rescue her, they also decide, hey, we could bring this giant gorilla back to New York and make a ton of money showing it to people on Broadway. They do that. It's a giant gorilla in New York. Things go as expected, which is to say, not well for literally anybody. So yeah, if you haven't seen King Kong, that's kind of the premise, the basic premise. Peter Jackson is Peter Jackson, so he takes a lot of his own liberties with the story, but he's also one to typically honor the source material in doing so. Did he do it well enough? Did he suck it up? Did he ruin this classic? Or did he breathe new life into it from a fresh world perspective? We don't get to decide which of those points of view we agree with. The dice gods do. And they're going to do that for us right now because we're going to roll. Justin, are you ready? I know you have a sick dice set.
Oh yeah, look at that bad boy.
Look at that thing.
Oh, I'm rolling just for fun.
Okay. Well, you gotta let us know what you get too.
I got pretty good.
Okay,
What'd you
okay.
get, Justin?
I got a 9.
Clay?
I got a 15.
Fuck.
No. I got a 17. 17. So when I'm not,
17?
there's
God
no
damn.
stakes, I roll great. When there's no stakes, I roll great. So, Justin, that means you have to trash King Kong. You have to tell us all why this movie is a pile of dog shit. And Clayton, you got to defend this film at its 3.5-hour runtime in all its glory. Are you two ready for a debate?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I got the 10-minute timer up. Make it a clean fight or not. You know, we allow punching of the groin and biting and kicking and, you know, maybe even biting a ton out of the skull of a T-Rex. That's also
maybe do
allowed,
that.
especially in this movie. 10 minutes starting with Clay. 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
So the main thing that's awesome about this movie is that it's made by Peter Jackson. And the reason that Peter Jackson movies rock is because of something I was talking about on the podcast just last night, which is that the best art comes from human experience, human joy, human creativity, and human exploration. When you get out of your own way, let go of all societal restraints, all restraints that we teach ourselves and dehumanize ourselves with from the time we're children to the time we're adults to fit into society. The best art comes when we deshackle ourselves from that stuff and just dive into fucking loving making movies, loving telling stories. And Peter Jackson does that with his entire soul every time he makes a movie. This movie is no exception. In fact, it might be the best example of that because this was Peter Jackson's favorite movie. This is the movie that when he was a kid, he was like, I'm going to do that for my entire life. And he fucking did. Like, he didn't see it and think he wanted to be a director. He actually thought he wanted to be special effects guy. That was his original mission from watching King Kong and seeing how you could bring these fantastical stories, these mythical creatures to life with stop motion animation. So he had his heroes from a young age in that world that he sought to emulate, and you can see it in all of his movies. The special effects are always a huge part of a Peter Jackson story, of a Peter Jackson picture. And he took King Kong and he elevated it to a level that it had never been before. And he didn't do the Kong versus Godzilla thing. Justin, I know you love Godzilla, but I'm not a fan of like a lot of those spin-offs that are just like Kong versus Godzilla, basically Marvel movies. What I like about this movie is he keeps with the structure, he keeps with the narrative of the original King Kong. He adds some stuff to it from a more modern perspective, and he also bumps up the production quality just exponentially. There you can see the team working on this movie really works well together too. I mean, it's basically the team from Lord of the Rings. They were still making Lord of the Rings when they made this movie. They were finishing Return of the King. So he had essentially the exact same studio, the exact same production team. I'm sure there were a few people that dropped in and out, but even Andy Serkis was still there. Like, he played King Kong. So there was a ton of crossover between the excellent Lord of the Rings films and this wonderful film, all under Peter Jackson's guiding hand and visionary view of how this narrative could come to life in a new world. And I think he just knocked it out of the park. But you can try to say it's bad. Someone's got to be wrong for me to be right.
Well, it's funny that you say like Peter Jackson comes from a place of selflessness and just for the love of the art. I think it comes from a place of ego and just wanting to make try to tackle something that is basically like the stepping stone of cinema, trying to adapt something that paved the way for special effects innovation back in 1933 to utilizing motion capture and miniatures and modern practical and visual effects. However, I do think while King Kong looks spectacular, the surrounding elements around King Kong, I think, gives it a major struggle. I think in particular, one of the weakest sequences in the film, and the one where, you know, say what you will about the prequel films for the Star Wars franchise, especially with Episode 2 and kind of how kind of grotesque and glossy the green screen work is with that. The Brontosaurus scene, in a sequence in on Skull Island, is particularly ugly looking. It doesn't feel, the actors do not feel like they're within the environment. Everything feels a little too overly designed, and I think that's kind of the major problem with a good chunk of King Kong, is that a lot of design elements feel more in line with Lord of the Rings, where they're a bit more overly designed, especially like the V-Rex, I believe is what it's referred to in King Kong's version. It's just a little too overly animated, and I think that takes away from the fantastical and realistic element that like worked with like Jurassic Park to a degree. Like if you're having King Kong be an empathetic kind of real a creature that we're supposed to have feelings for, then the same should be with thrills with the kind of surrounding dinosaurs of the island. So while and also just to as King Kong, the original film, was a film about presenting a level of spectacular special effects. This does the same thing, but does it in a way where it's a little bit more sloppy. And I think a good element with that is, again, the Brontosaurus sequence as they're all stumbling and falling down on top of each other. It's just a little too ridiculous for a movie that, for its first hour, plays in a level of groundedness. And also, a flair of Peter Jackson's is having the weird kind of dated stuttering slow-mo effects. There's just a lot of technical and visual effects elements that I think really brings down to what the meat and potatoes of this film is. And it's about a film of love where it's a little overly bloated for it to warrant a 3-hour runtime.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I would say, though, we don't really need any kind of empathetic character development from the dinosaurs. They are a lot more seen in the film as creatures, and I think that's because they're seen relative to the other humans. And we only ever see the crew interacting with the dinosaurs, other than obviously we've got Anne running from the T-Rexes and being saved, or the V-Rexes and being saved from King Kong, saved by King Kong. Sorry, but that's so obviously you're not going to develop empathy for those dinosaurs, and then all the other dinosaurs, all the insects, pretty much all the other creatures on Skull Island in general only ever interact with the crew, who have a much different view on nature than Anne does. And she probably doesn't have that view right out the gate either. She develops it from him when she kind of realizes, oh, I'm not going to be able to escape. He's smarter than he looks, and like I'm gonna have to try a different tack. So she's like, oh, and it goes back to like this script has good character work weaved throughout it. The characters are very consistent, and the lines that they say throughout the movie matter. They come back to matter. You've also got that with the conversation on the ship where he's reading Heart of Darkness, and he asks. Oh, it's not really an adventure story, is it? It's like, no, it's not. And that's obviously something they're alluding to in this too. Like, they've got all their adventure elements in this story, and that definitely puts butts in seats and makes the movie exciting. But at the heart of this story, it is a story about the desecration of nature and how that can destroy love, how violence destroys love, and how true love comes from understanding and empathy and listening. And I think that only can develop with Kong because he's the only one who spends any real time with a human character, and it does bring that human element out of nature. And I think it makes you think about, what if you did sit and listen and be more a part of nature? What else would we learn? But we can see throughout the film that the mindset of these people is not going to allow that to happen, unfortunately, and that's kind of reiterated at the end. I think it's all pretty beautifully done. And I think the dinosaurs and the bugs, they both kind of represent both. They help get that adventure element in there. They help get the heart pumping for sure, but they also represent sort of like what people think nature is, and then King Kong kind of represents what it really is. At least that's the way I see it.
And I don't disagree that, like, I don't need Jack Black to have an empathetic moment with the V-Rex. but I do think that while the story, and Naomi Watts' character's storyline with Kong is fine. I do
Sure.
think that that the B storyline where the crew is trying to find and it's a little bit more distracting, a little bit more it's of course like adhering to the adventure elements, but again, just a matter of like, if you're trying to bring this wow factor where Jeff Goldblum's going into Jurassic Park saying, "Well, they got in there King Kong," the expectation is that you're wowing audiences with these visual effects. Again, like I think while the story, Peter Jackson isn't really bringing anything new to the table outside of just modern technology. He's reiterating the same story, reiterating same character beats. The only exception is that
that you're out of time, Justin. That's the only exception.
Yeah, you done.
You're out of
We'll
time.
never know the only exception. We'll never know.
Damn.
There, though.
All right,
Just right
later.
after that
It
ellipses.
was I'm out. Peace.
And he was never seen or heard from again.
That was fantastic. Well done. Good debate. So now we're going to get into our section where, before you get to learn what our actual opinions are about the movie, first we want to introduce some drinks. Then we want to introduce some trivia because we want to tease you. We want to tease you and we want to bring you in slow. Come on.
Yeah.
So first, drinks. Clay,
Yeah, I was teasing.
are you drinking fucking rain over there?
I am not drinking fucking rain. This is seltzer rain. But after I'm done with my seltzer rain, I will drink another Athletic Free Wave.
Nice.
Because that's
nice.
Actually, it's not my favorite Athletic. My favorite Athletic has become their Belgian White because I feel like Belgians are easier to imitate in an NA because you can get the orange flavor in there all the same. And it kind of tastes a little closer to the beer you expect. With hazies and IPAs, it's kind of tough, but this hazy does a pretty good job. I always shout out Athletic. They're a great NA company. And I'm just taking a break from drinking right now, but not from smoking. So I still got this little guy. So I'm still kicking it with everybody, and we're gonna have a good time.
All right. Jeremy, what are you sipping on?
Well, you see, in the movie, we actually do get to see what Jack Black is sipping on, which is some Johnny Walker Red. But what I've got is the Johnny Walker Green. So I'm going to be sipping on that because fuck 'em.
I like Johnny Walker. It's a solid
Green.
lower level
I guess
whiskey.
Yes.
Green
Where's
is
green
kind of
fall?
between black and red.
Okay.
So green is I don't know.
So where's
it's
blue?
15 years old. Blue is like
Stupid.
top,
Stupid.
stupid expensive. This one's lower than that, but it's above the black.
If you can afford Johnny Walker Blue, then just go get something from Scotland.
Yeah,
But like,
go to Scotland.
just import
Just
something
go
really
to
delicious from
Scotland.
Scotland because it's like $200 or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. Come on,
Crazy.
guys.
Justin. Oh, let me real quick. Mine's boring. It's not themed. I found a good pack of Big Sky Brewing Company Space Goat Pale Ale, and then the second one will be Moose Drool. So
Nice.
Moose Drool.
There you go.
Ooh.
Do you know
Justin,
about
what are
Moose
you
Drool,
sipping
Justin?
on?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It's
It's
from
a good
Montana.
brown ale. It's
That's-
pretty popular Montana brown ale.
God damn.
It's a good one. You even see it in Washington in some bars once in
Shit.
a while for some reason.
Yeah, man.
Might have to hunt that down. Look kind of interesting.
It's good.
I have a bottle that I slowly work through every time I'm doing like a special evening, like with you gentlemen.
No.
I have a Casamigos tequila. This is George
nice.
Clooney's tequila. It was gifted to me by an actor who I worked with on a TV show 3 years ago. So I've been slowly going through it. So cheers to big ears.
Are you gonna sneak some of it into the premiere of Jay Kelly?
Dude, I hope so. I hope so. We have a little theater in Shoreline called the Crest that plays the Netflix films. It's where I got to see Frankenstein in theaters, and
Yeah.
it's a nice little theater. So I really and it's like the only theater that plays like Netflix films around here.
I have pretty high faith in Noah Baumbach, but like the trailer for Jay Kelly, I was like, I can't tell if this movie is going to be brilliant or so far up its own ass that I
It's
can't
good.
stand it. We'll see.
I have the screener for it, so I'm working my way to it. This is like December's my time of the year to kind of catch up on movies I missed, and I get a bunch of screeners. So
Clay, you saw it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It's on streaming.
It is already?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Netflix.
I'm way behind. I thought it was next week it was releasing. Jeez, I'm way behind.
No, it's
too,
out.
apparently.
Yeah,
I
it's
still
pretty
gotta
decent.
watch,
It's sorry, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, it's decent. Definitely go watch it.
Okay. Well,
Noah acts in it, and he's really good.
Oh, cool. That is the movie that we're not talking about. What we are talking about is King Kong.
True.
And boy, do I have some trivia. It was hard to narrow this list down because almost every fact on the IMDb page is super fun. So if I
So
missed
much
any that
trivia.
are some of your favorites, please shout them out, people. But I just listed, I'd say probably 15 of my favorites here. I'll try and buzz through them. It took 18 months to craft the CGI version of the Empire State Building. The real Empire State Building was built in 14 months. So it took 4 more months.
Over-designed indeed.
Yeah, to digitally render the Empire State, which is hilarious. I thought this one was cool. The color orange was deliberately kept off set and in the lighting effects because it created a weird effect with Naomi Watts' just like insanely blue eyes. That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Andy Serkis had to play King Kong twice because they had not yet developed the technology to keep him in like a green screen suit in the same scene with Naomi Watts. So he wore a makeshift gorilla outfit so that she had something to play off of. And then he did the same scene again in his motion capture suit, which I think is the same situation he had with Smeagol, where it's like, okay, he has to like be him to the hobbits and then they go away and he does the same thing again. So Andy Serkis needs a damn Oscar already. Like,
he really does.
I don't care what for. Just give him one.
Just give him, like, do the Tom Cruise thing if you have to and just give him like an honorary one, which that's ridiculous in my opinion too, that Cruise never had even much of a mention. Anyway, the Oscars, I have my thoughts. Jack Black wore a wig in the film because Sir Peter Jackson wasn't happy with the way his hair had been cut. I think that's pretty funny.
That is funny.
Besides studying wild gorillas in Rwanda in order to be able to mimic their movements and behavior, Andy Serkis also developed a close friendship with a female gorilla called Zare at the zoo near London. And IMDb did not have a fact that I know that adds on to this one. He, in an interview, was talking about how his wife came out to visit him near London, and they went to the zoo together, and Zare like wanted to kill her because they were so close with each other. She was like, "Nah, get this bitch out of my zoo."
just to hop on that for a second, I was right before this. I was watching like the never-ending behind the scenes of King Kong.
It's so good.
It's really good. Like the Zare like throws a water bottle and like squirts it at his wife, and there's another gorilla named Bob who just hated Andy Serkis there.
There was like a love thing going on.
Yeah, there was something was up. Some big
Love
drama.
Square. It was like
Bob
Bob
was like, I want Zare, and this Andy guy's around, and Zare was like, who's this Andy guy with? I want her dead.
Yeah,
crazy.
And Bob was like, sup girl, to Andy Serkis' wife.
This would be the most expensive film for an entire year until X-Men: The Last Stand surpassed it. So $207 million was the budget for this film, and it surpassed Titanic, Spider-Man 2, which both cost around $200 million. It cost 300 times more than King Kong in 1933, which was 672,000. I'm sure inflation would change that number, but yeah, it held the record until the next year, 2006, when X-Men: The Last Stand came in with a budget of 210 million, which to me, there's a big quality difference between those two high budget films.
Yes.
But we can maybe get into that. Howard Shore, this one kind of made me sad, had written and recorded much of the score for the film, but shortly before release, him and Peter Jackson had differing creative aspirations, and Shore and they mutually agreed that he should be replaced, and James Newton Howard did the soundtrack. But I think it would have been cool to hear what Howard Shore brought from Lord of the Rings into King Kong. I think Howard Shore doesn't get talked about enough, and maybe I'm just not in the right circles, but everyone talks about, John Williams and
Hans Zimmer.
But
Hans Zimmer.
Howard
Shore is
man.
incredible.
Oh.
Oh,
He's been working since like the 80s, and like he doesn't get like his fair share as much. He's really great. His Aviator score is fantastic too.
Yeah, such a good score. And I mean, like, he's made one of the iconic songs of our generation. Like anytime the Hobbit, the Shire song comes on with the doo-doo-doo-doo, like, you're just like, okay, I know where I am, and I love it. Naomi Watts stated that when she was offered the part in this film, she contacted David Lynch for advice, and he told her, quote, "Anyone who sits in the hand of King Kong will be a movie star for life." So she immediately took the part. There's one Wilhelm scream.
Yeah,
Wilhelm
there is.
Encounter. Yep, it's around 1 hour and 24 minutes during the Brontosaurus stampede. A sailor is knocked off a cliff, and we get a Wilhelm scream. So I always like to count those. According to Sir, yes, he was knighted, Peter Jackson's autobiography, someone angrily asked Jackson why he was making a film about rampant sexism punctuated by the masculine gorilla carrying a woman. Jackson's response was, "I thought I was making a film about dinosaurs and a gorilla." Which I love.
It's a good quote.
The
Firing
movie
back.
contains approximately 800 miniature shots, which is a lot. Kong, in this 3.5 hour, I think it's more than 3.5 hours, isn't it? Anyway, in this very lengthy movie, Kong has 41 minutes of screen time, which seems like a lot, but in this length is like not a ton, I guess. At around, I love little details like this when the like costume and props department get things so coolly perfect. At 62 minutes, Captain Englehorn saves Carl Denham from having his skull crushed by shooting the native who's about to attack him. The pistol he uses is a somewhat rare German Luger P04 Navy model, clearly identifiable by its long 6-inch barrel, which suggests that Captain Engelhorn may have possibly served as an officer in the Imperial German Navy in World War I, because they were rewarded to high-ranking officers at that time, which is cool.
That's cool.
This was
He certainly has that vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fifth highest grossing film of 2005. We'll get into the exact numbers after everyone's done with facts. I have two more. At around 42 minutes, when the radio operator aboard the SS Venture receives a radiogram via Morse code, supposedly telling the captain that Carl Denham is wanted by the police, the Morse code message is a sound in the soundtrack actually says, "Show me the monkey." So
Perfect.
Good.
that's fantastic. And then finally, a one I found really cool. Bryan Singer, that directed the X-Men movies, and what was his most recent one? I don't remember. Anyway,
Where he barely got through Bohemian Rhapsody.
yeah, that he was visiting the set in New Zealand while they were shooting the V-Rex fight, and that's actually directed by Bryan Singer. Peter Jackson brought him in for one day of filming to put that one together, and so he's credited at the very end as a special thanks to Bryan Singer, which is really cool, especially considering he would top that budget the next year with X-Men Last Stand, kind of a connection there. But that's what I got. Did I miss anyone's?
Last Stand was Brett Ratner.
Oh, it was. You're right. I'm sorry.
The Rat.
I'm getting
The
the
Rat.
wrong X-Men movies. The Rat. Sinner did do X-Men, some X-Men's though, so I'm not off on that. But those are my last facts. Did I miss anybody's favorites before we get into the box office?
The only one that I'm aware of that just because I just watched it and it's just recent in my head is that when Andy Serkis went to like the London Zoo to like study like the gorillas there, he's like, okay, I know what like enclosed gorillas act. Well, I want to see them in the wild. I want to go to Rwanda. And Peter Jackson's like, I don't know about that. It's a nightmare to kind of insure an actor on a job to go and study, like to be in that environment. You may get hurt, you may get killed, being around kind of wild gorillas. And Andy Serkis is like, okay. 2 weeks later, Andy Serkis goes and flies to Rwanda by himself, pays for it by himself, and goes and videotapes wild gorillas and interacts with them.
Nice.
Everyone is sweating at the office.
Oh yeah,
that might be my top favorite rogue actor story now. My previous favorite was the Patrick Swayze in Point Break. Have you heard that one?
No.
Oh, so the skydiving scenes with Patrick Swayze, not Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, all the scenes are a stunt double, but Patrick Swayze's scenes are Patrick Swayze. And allegedly, the producers were like, "No, you can't jump out of a plane. We can't ensure that." And Swayze was like, "Okay, cool." And then over a weekend break, he just took the stunt guys and was like, "We're gonna go film a bunch of skydiving scenes."
Oh my god!
Get it? And then he just brought the film to the director and was like, "You might want to use these. They're pretty good." And was like, "Did you jump out of a plane, Patrick?" He's like, "Yeah."
I didn't know that. It's funny, actually.
That's awesome.
That's so good.
I love that. I love when actors just are like, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm gonna anyway."
I have one that's just fun, and it is partly, but it's from the director directly, so it's it's theoretical, but it is from Peter Jackson. And again, this documentary that we're referencing, Justin and I, is free on YouTube. It's 3 hours long of all the making of King Kong. You should totally go watch it. It's awesome. Peter Jackson, and I love that about Peter Jackson, but we'll get into that more. I was going to say, though, and this is interesting tie to you, Justin, this movie was sidelined. You learned this in the documentary.
Yeah.
But I love this fact. It was sidelined for production, for greenlighting, for Godzilla, the 2001 Godzilla, that is. And
1998.
Sorry, 1998. Sorry, yeah, not 2001.
There was never mind.
No. You're right. Yeah, no, that's my bad. But it's the one you're thinking of. It's the
No.
Godzilla you think
I
of.
was gonna make a dark joke, but I decided against it for my better judgment.
Oh, okay, fair. We don't usually listen to our better judgment on this show, so it's good for somebody to set the example. So.
Somebody's really
And what was the other one?
Mighty Joe Young.
Mighty Joe Young, which is just another giant gorilla movie. Yeah. So they were like, we can't do that this year. And if that hadn't happened, Peter Jackson speculates that he would have never made Lord of the Rings, or at least not in that time period, which I personally think is one of the greatest things the film gods have ever done for us. Is manipulate those pieces on that particular chessboard to come out with that result. Because the Lord of the Rings trilogy, in my opinion, is some of the greatest films of all time and easily the greatest speculative films of all time.
and better than the book, so that's good.
We don't need to get into that.
We don't need to get into that. There's Clayton.
Talk about a debate.
Yeah,
we already had it. We've done it.
We're gonna keep
it's
having
been
it.
done
It's
to
fine.
death. Ian McKellen too almost turned down Lord of the Rings. I'm looking up right
Right.
now. I forget what it was for.
And Christopher Lee was fighting for his life to be in those films. I think he wanted to be Gandalf, and he met
That's what I
Tolkien,
wanted.
right?
Yeah,
I'm
he
pretty
did.
sure
He
he
knew Tolkien.
Sean
I
Connery
can't
perfect
remember
as
what it
Gandalf.
is.
That was weird.
Maybe it was Harry Potter. I don't remember, but there was something. No, that wouldn't lined up time wise. But there was something that Ian McKellen was offered, and he was like, "Oh, do I take this, which is like 2 months of production, or this like year-long project in New Zealand?" And was like, this one seems better. But we went with Lord of the Rings, and thank you God that he did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Everybody ended up in the right role on that movie. That movie was awesome
100%.
in that regard. Those movies. But yeah, that's my fun fact. I also would like to know what you think of that particular Godzilla film, Justin, because I genuinely have no idea what you think.
I watched it a couple years ago again. I forget like why I watched it again, but well, it's one of those things where it's like I like the Super Mario Brothers, like the 1993 movie, a lot. If you're not thinking about it as like a Mario movie, as like a fun kind of like Blade Runner adventure riff, you know.
Right.
It's got interesting sensibilities. So it's like the same thing when I look at that Godzilla film. I'm like, oh, this is a good monster film that I would look at not as just like not as a Godzilla film. It's more maybe in line with like what the original Godzilla film was like trying to adapt from, which was like the beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which is a bit more in line. It's like a giant iguana type monster that, you know, wreaks havoc through New York. So it's like that's more accurate to that. But you know, it's a little clunky. It's got bad characterization. It's riffing off Jurassic Park quite a bit. I like the design. I like the creature itself. It just goes against what Godzilla was at that point. And you know, it's I'll just say this, there's worse Godzilla films than that, but that's
for sure.
Yeah,
I think it's a very mid one, but I think that's actually why people dislike it so strongly, because being mid is bad.
Well, and like things that weren't beloved at the time, there's a reevaluation going on, and I just don't think I don't know, like I've tried to like really like that film, but I get really bogged down with like some of the bad, like Godzilla films like historically don't have great characterization, but the 1998 one it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Okay, could I get just one sentence? Because now that I know that opinion, I have to know, and you seem to be a very big Godzilla fan. 2010. One sentence.
2010?
2014? 2014.
Oh, one sentence? Reestablishes the king in pop culture.
Like it. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. But we're talking about a different king. We're talking about King Kong, right? And King Kong was a box office success. It was 2.7 times its production budget in the box office. But I have an extra detail here that's really cool. So it had we already said it was $207 million budget, which was pretty big for the time. It made $556 million just in the worldwide box office. And then this was like the peak of DVD sales time and Blu-ray sales time. And it made another $146 million in estimated domestic video sales. So all in all, this movie peaked pretty a couple hundred over half a billion, which is pretty cool for the time, and definitely a big success, especially for like a 3.5 hour epic. That's pretty cool to see that.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it is 3 hours and 7 minutes long, Travis.
What? Oh my gosh, I thought it was 3:30. I guess I was thinking
You gotta be cool.
There is an extended cut.
Oh, maybe I've watched that. Yeah. Jeremy, you could have corrected that the first like 7 times I said it, but thank you.
Hey, you gotta pick your moments, okay?
You did.
We got it on tape now.
You picked the moment. All right. I think now is the time to hear what people actually think. Clayton, you were the pro, so you're not going to start us off.
Nope,
Justin,
I'm not.
You were against. Can you tell the audience, were you lying? What do you actually think about King Kong 2005?
I think a lot. I do have issues with the like a good chunk of the visual effects, which I'm sure we can get into. But ultimately, it's my favorite adaptation of King Kong. I think the characterization of Kong is fantastic in it. I'm partial to the MonsterVerse Kong as well. I think he's done well, especially kind of melding him into the world of Godzilla a bit more and how he's kind of more the emotional kind of through line of those films, whereas Godzilla's is kind of the brute force. However, with this King Kong, I think Peter Jackson does a great job with not really like you don't really need to like fuck around with the core story of King Kong. I think the 1975 or 76 version of it kind of strays away from that a bit and kind of gets a bit cluttered because of those deviations. And I even think the 95 version with the script was deviating quite a bit from what they ended up going with. So I think like them staying pretty true to the original is good. I think the best change that they did, and it reminded me of another film that I also love, Nosferatu, where they take the character and there's a bit more of agency and a pull and pull and tug kind of like dynamic between Nosferatu and Lily Rose Depp. The same is here with Naomi Watts' character and King Kong. I think the best parts of the film is anytime Kong and Anne are together, and it was my favorite parts of like them being on Skull Island is just how they were interacting with each other, especially kind of when she's entertaining him after she's kind of first captured. And but yeah, no, I think I think for a 3-hour film though, it kind of moves. Like you're on the boat kind of feels like it's a while, but it doesn't feel like there isn't anything that's not necessary. And I think that's kind of the nice thing about Peter Jackson as a filmmaker is that I think he's very purposeful with a lot of things, be it what you may think with Return of the King. And it's like endings. I don't mind that, but as long as like it feels purposeful, and I think he's a very purposeful filmmaker. But yeah, I think that's just a good place to kind of establish things. It's like it's my favorite King Kong film. I think he does a great job with it. He honors it really well. And watching it again the other night, I got really kind of choked up at the finale too. So really good.
I love too that you mentioned how it moves at a pretty good clip. And I've always thought this movie's like 3 really well-paced movies.
Yeah.
Like the 3-act writing style like works. You got the boat, then you got Skull Island, then you got New York City, and they're all like perfectly separated. They blend into each other super well with good beats. Like Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens did great with that script of just how to structure the story. But Clay,
Yeah.
what do you think of King Kong? Did you lie?
I didn't totally lie. I mean, I didn't lie about anything I said. I believe everything I said. I like that stuff about King Kong. There's plenty I don't like though. I mean, as you guys know, I'm a bit of a curmudgeon with action movies and such, and this is certainly an action movie most of the way through. I'm also a big sucker for like realism. This movie doesn't have any of that. So, like, the only real parts of this movie is the cliff scene on Skull Island and the Empire State Building, and a few scenes with like the characters on the boat. When the characters are interacting, I believe those interactions from those characters when they're interacting not under tension, and then once it's like Peter Jackson level action stuff happening, I don't necessarily believe any of that as much because I think I have to suspend my disbelief so far that I can't believe these are real people anymore. I'm like, first of all, in that T-Rex fight, she would have broken her neck like 1,000 times. Literally every time anything happened, she would be so fucking dead.
Yeah, she would be soup.
And that's just before he first grabbed her and he's shaking her around like, dude, you're dead. Like if that's happening to you, you're going to be dead. He knows he has maybe, and he's got a big pile of dead bodies at his house. Maybe he broke in a few and he's like gotten good at it, right? I'm willing to believe that. Like he doesn't want to break any more of them, so he's trying to take it easy. But like ultimately, he's got a pile of dead bodies for a reason, and I think she would have been another one of them. But that said, that fight scene's really fun. It's super unique. It's kind of like playing a video game. But you have to be on that level to enjoy a movie like this, and I really do enjoy it because I take all of that off. But it just kind of keeps it from being my style of movie. So I really do get bored with action, like when there's too much of it, and I feel like this movie certainly has that. Like, again, I like there's no way people A should even be running right now, and B would be able to run with any level of success, especially to this this amount of times. I see the stampede, I'm pretty good. Like, I'm set. Also, why would they not want to just take a fucking dinosaur back? That seems like it would have been way easier. And like,
Well, look, they're all normal-sized dinosaurs. You could have like a really big gorilla, though.
dude, real gorillas exist. That's
Yeah,
just a
but not
bigger
like
version.
really big ones.
I know, it doesn't even compare to a dinosaur. If you found dinosaurs, that's what you'd be bringing back. You'd be like,
Unless it was like a gorilla, but big.
no,
Big.
they went way out of their way, and never once did they even think about bringing a dinosaur back. Like, I thought these guys were professional animal like slavers, Like, grab these dinosaurs. That I gotta believe it. I gotta believe it.
Well,
So
just to defend that part a little bit, I do think that one, only Jack Black's character knows that they're going to Skull Island. He gets that
That's true.
ship,
And the captain.
yeah, and the captain, but nobody else is like trained to like be like what Jurassic Park 2 is like, where like they're all going to the island, engines going to the island and like gathering the dinosaurs.
That's true.
And I think it's circumstantial too, where it's like I don't unless I'm like misremembering, I think they only go and save Anne, and then the circumstances being that they are able to incapacitate it at the shore, and that's what gives him the idea to bring it back. So I don't think there was ever an intention with them seeing the dinosaurs to be like, oh yeah, let's bring back a fucking raptor.
But why not? They capture capture animals for a living, and it's like an opening line
Do
in the
they?
movie. Yeah,
I thought
That's
they
why
were just
there's
a
animal
ship.
cages.
Oh,
No, yeah, they were poachers. That's why they had like 50 jugs of chloroform. Just
oh, you're right. I'm misremembering.
To my knowledge,
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
they only capture King Kong after his camera breaks, and
Yes,
so he's like,
that's-
I need to
Yeah.
come back with something.
Fair enough. Fair
And-
enough.
Yeah.
So it
I don't
is-
know.
3-hour film. Give me a break.
No, you're good. You're good.
3.5.
Sorry, my bad.
307.
I think I agree with what you're saying. I do think, and I guess here's where it is for me, Justin. You're right. As the script is written, and this is somewhere where, to me, the script comes onto the screen a little bit. Like, why do they need Jack Black's character to be like, hey, you guys do this for a living? Why don't we do this? Why don't they go like that? When they're like, boss, I don't know if you know this yet, but there's fucking dinosaurs out there. Like, let's go.
No, I agree. I do
let's
think
bring
they
some
should bring
back
back
to
a
the
dinosaur.
Come on, but so I guess that's it for me. I'm like, why was Jack Black's character have to tell them to do what they do already, when they know it would make them super rich? But that's me nitpicking. Ultimately, like you said, you don't need to fuck with the King Kong story too much. Just like leave it be, enjoy it, and it's great to put your own spin on it and your own taste on it. That's what adaptations do, good ones. And I think Jackson certainly accomplishes that at many different levels. I really do enjoy the performances in this movie quite a bit. I thought all the actors were super on point. And you watch the documentary, there's so much cool stuff that always seems to be happening. Like Peter Jackson's sets feel like the kind of sets that as a filmmaker, it'd be like a dream to work on one. They just sound like they always have a good vibe. They're a good operation, and they consistently make good movies for that reason. And I think You can like feel that in this movie. It still tugs at my heartstrings. The Empire State Building scene is very well done. It's very tragic, and yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie about it. I cried today watching it. I wasn't ready for it. I forgot how emotional it was. It got me. So I really, really enjoy this movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's easy to nitpick, and action movies aren't my style.
Jeremy.
Yes, Clay. We all know you hate fun. That's
Yes.
fine. Yes, it's great.
Don't even think about having it right now. I am not in the mood.
I would never. Thank you. But no, I think this movie it surprised me after having probably only watched it in 2005 when it came out. So like, not a lot, give or take, but like the performances are great. It moves shockingly well for a 3-hour movie. And revisiting it, you get like all the wonderful character things, including and especially Andy Serkis always being great, whether he's a gorilla or a cook named Lumpy. And he does have maybe the best line in the entire movie where he's telling everyone, like, there's only one thing that could make a track that big: an abominable snowman. And it's
Dude, Lumpy
perfect.
is still smoking a cigarette during the dinosaur
In the
stampede.
rainstorm.
Always.
In the
But he's
rain,
doing it in the
man.
dinosaur stampede, like he's sucking that thing
Lumpy.
down while he's running.
Yep.
It's a tragedy that Lumpy did not make it, But
Yeah.
like,
Brutal death.
speaking of
too.
tragedy, like this is a shockingly emotional movie, and like, I think one of the highlights is watching Jack Black start at a place where you're almost kind of rooting for him as like this down on his luck kind of scoundrel just trying to make a movie and stuff, before you watch him slowly give away that he will end as many human lives as it takes to gain any level of fame and fortune and not suffer the consequences of his actions.
And we'll give the proceeds to their wife and kids.
Oh yeah.
Dude, when he reuses the speech, it's so great.
It's great.
Give the
So
proceeds to
great.
his wife and kids.
And that
Then the
guy,
camera breaks is like, screw it. Let's bring home a gorilla, but like a
Yep.
big one.
Or a dinosaur.
But like a big one.
but like a real big one.
Oh
They should have
my
brought.
God.
They really should have thought of a dinosaur.
You
But,
have more thoughts, Jeremy. before
Yeah,
I-
I have a couple more. As much as I did love this on a rewatch, it's very emotional. There are moments of like, oh, these effects have not. That's okay. That's standing out. The visuals are weird sometimes, and I think, to Clay's point, there are a lot of instances in the movie where I just imagine people reading the script going like, okay, and I'm reading here that they are somehow not killed by doing this. Am I reading that? Oh, interesting. And then just moving on. But yeah, no, it's probably the most fun you can have with a single movie that lasts 3 or more hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does fully embrace like that. This is a movie element of a movie. It doesn't just ask you to come along with it. It expects you to. It's like, no, we're going hard. Are you coming or not? Like, this movie's gonna be ridiculous. They will fall into multiple caverns. They will They will encounter multiple giant monsters that try to eat them. They will continue to run away from them successfully. Get on the ride or get off, you know?
Yeah, Kong gonna shake
Wait
that
till we
lake,
get to New York City.
it'll be fine.
And then New York was awesome when he's hucking the theater apart and stuff.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that scene.
So
So
fun.
good.
Travis,
I-
what do you think?
I think that summarizes my thoughts of this. I love this movie, and I used to love it. Like,
Sorry, I
I
tried to
loved it
put
when
you-
it came out. That's all right. I loved it when it came out. I love it more now because of what a lot of like box office cinema has become in my mind. So that's like maybe the curmudgeon of me of like everything's a sequel, a prequel, a remake, and a lot of it is kind of cynical. There's been a couple Marvels recently where they've been in an emotional moment and they just couldn't help themselves with like telling a quippy joke, and it ruins it. And I'm like, where King Kong is a movie that is like unashamedly an action film that doesn't care about the realism so much because it just entertains the shit out of you, and isn't afraid in the middle of all that to like have really deep emotional character scenes. And I don't think we get movies like this very often anymore, and I miss that. And I liked it more on a rewatch because I'm just like, oh man, Peter Jackson was playing with the heartstrings, pacing an action film perfectly, and giving us a lot of really cool character moments. I also have a personal attachment to this movie because it was like one of the first times when I realized I was like way more of a movie nerd than most of my friends, because we were on a wrestling trip and we were in like a hotel room and our parents were somewhere, probably at the bar, like hanging out, and we were up in the hotel room and my friends were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I want to watch a movie. Let's watch King Kong. And like we all sat down and I'm like, this is like the best movie I've seen all year, guys. You're gonna love it. And they made it like halfway through the ship scene. And we're just like, what are we doing? Like, this is the most boring thing I've ever had to suffer through. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, come on, guys.
The characters.
I was like, but wait for the T-Rex fight. And they were like, sure, we'll wait for that. And then they watched that and then like left the hotel room. And I was like, I'm weird, aren't I?
Oh, they didn't even make it. Come on, buddy.
I was like, I'm weird, aren't I? I'm a strange human being. And so, yeah, I had that first kind of like moment of like, oh, I think I'm looking at things in a different way than some people. And here I am, a nerd on a podcast doing this all the time, which is really fun. So, yeah, I have a very personal attachment to this film, but I also just genuinely think it's a very fantastic movie. And all the like flaws that are definitely there, the Brontosaurus scene looks terrible now.
Brutal.
But all those flaws aside, we don't make a lot of movies like this anymore, and I wish I would have appreciated it more when we had it, and I hope it comes back. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I love this movie too, on so many levels. It's one of the few action movies that works for me. It's a lot of fun, and it does go by fast, and it does kind of feel like two different movies, but it works, if not three, sort of like three movies in a trench coat. That's how I would have started my debate if I had to roll low. And I would have done my realism rant that you all got to witness. Yeah. And what you're going to witness now is a little 5-minute break video that I cut together. Funny clips from the season so far. So if you enjoy it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that bullshit, and go check out our new Patreon because it's going to be really cool. Thanks for being here, Justin. We'll see you on the other side of the 5-minute break. Please turn off your camera and mic so you go off the screen. See you guys in 5 minutes. Goodbye. Hello, Fermented folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4, the show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know.
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
It's are yellow.
Right.
Imagine like discovering mummy remains and like, oh my god, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's like very like hard-nosed at the beginning. And then like, I will say another pro of this movie is like their chemistry is hot. And like, I feel like if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been like, ugh. Because she says at one point, she's like, oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Like, fuck. And he's like, and then later when they like are like kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was like two lesser actors, I think it would have been like an eye roll, like felt cheesy, but like you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending like, you know, Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, I mean, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up. You know?
Yeah. Dedicate that
yeah,
time.
settle
You're willing
twice.
willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
Ah, that was so painful. It's one of those painful things
Oh, that
I've
was
done in my
so good.
life.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
Welcome back from the 5-minute break. Hopefully everybody got to do the things that you need to do on a break. I did just leave a series of Zoom classes last month where our professor was convinced every time we came back. He's like, I don't think any of you actually left. I think you just sat here.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I did at least once where I was like, yeah, I'm just going to wait. Anyway, I hope you didn't do that and you actually took a break because I have some questions now and we're going to get down to them. The first one, I hope you all enjoy because I think we've all gushed a little bit about this movie and I want to give you the opportunity to gush about your jobs. As creative people, hopefully you already get the opportunities to do that, but I don't know if I've ever expressly asked it on the show. So 2 things I'm going to ask you to gush and to maybe get into your feels a little bit with the darkness because I want to know on a film set or even when you're writing, whichever one you pick, what are your worst days and how do you like, what are the worst jobs and things that like, oh, I hate this part of the job. And what do you think about to bring you up from those? And then on the other side, what are like the best parts of the job that you look forward to every single time? And what do you do to kind of like come down off of those positive highs you hit? So Justin, you first.
Gosh, good question. So I primarily work nowadays more as a director, writer, producer for a lot of my own stuff, but I will more than on one occasion will hop onto productions as like an assistant director, specifically like a second AD or a second AD to help with getting all the behind the scenes stuff moving ahead. So like I think some examples that I where if I'm having like a bad day. It's more so about like trying to put out fires, and so it's more about like if we're not making our day at all, because so much of the AD department is about timing and making sure that like all the pieces are there, so then all the actors can have the time to do what they need to do. The director has the time to do what they need to do. The crew doesn't feel rushed. It all is dependent on like us getting the 50 extras managed and ready to go, to getting first team to make sure that they're appropriately taken care of as well, and that they're accommodated for. So if a day like that is falling apart and we end up in like a 14, 16, 19-hour day, which I've been there, it makes it it makes the magic of filmmaking feel more grueling than anything else. But when it does work, like I remember I did this fantasy show like in 2018, 2017, and it was a lot of extras, it was a lot of actors to get into special effects makeup. Like we had a dwarf character that was like Gimli like, and that was like a lot of like complications in terms like getting like the whole garb on and the makeup and just all these elements. It was built sets, and we had like pyrotechnics and live music, and it was just very stressful. But man, when we got everyone through the works and got them on the sets, nothing's more magical than like looking at the monitor and being and seeing kind of the life of the scene be there. And it's just a rare sight, especially like in Seattle, where you're seeing filmmaking, like see like what makes it worth being in filmmaking is seeing kind of like the thing that takes like so much manpower come to life. But yeah, no, that's like that, and that kind of is equated to directing, as being a director as well. It's just making sure that like what you're seeing, the audience is going to appreciate back. So
love that. Clay.
Yeah. Well, I mostly work as a writer and like producer now. So I send like a lot of emails and I talk to a lot of people. I establish and maintain lots of different relationships. That's kind of become a big part of my role. So yeah, I love doing that. I really like talking to people, connecting with people. I love going to conventions. I love going to people's live showings, their readings, whatever. That's all kind of part of my job now, which is really, really fortunate for me because I have a lot of fun doing it. And, I am seemingly not absolutely terrible at it. I could be more terrible. So I'm going to, continue to try to enjoy that part. So, and obviously I like just writing, just diving onto the page on the days where I'm really feeling that, and cultivating that via deadlines can be difficult. I'm still like learning how to write at a professional pace. That's pretty hard to do, honestly, when you're on your first long form projects and stuff. So that's been a little bit of a struggle for me on the writing side of things. But how you look up from that is like do the work. If you get into a writing session and you're creating a story and you give yourself adequate time and energy and focus to do that work genuinely, anytime I genuinely do the work, I always have a good time, kind of like exercising. Sometimes the hardest part, or almost always the hardest part, is getting started. And if you can get yourself started on a regular basis, be surprised how much you can do. And then when you stop doing that for a while, you'd be surprised how much you don't do. And both can be really difficult. So yeah, I don't know if I think that answers your question.
Oh yeah, I think so. I have more thoughts from both you and Justin, but Jeremy, you jump in there.
Well, yeah, I think it's weird because when I think about it, the best thing and the worst thing are actually the same thing, tied for both spots. It's really weird because there is this thing that happens when creating basically anything, whether I'm like writing or doing music or whatever, that it's basically, we'll call it a compulsion that kind of will take over, and I feel like I need to get the thing out of me before it actually kills me. Now, it's great because like it gets stuff done, and it's usually like really good when that happens because it's weird. Art is weird, and it should be, but also like it's kind of a nightmare while it's happening. So who knows? It's other creative stuff can happen outside of there, thank God. Otherwise, but those are special in every sense of that word.
Indeed.
I love it. And
I can relate to that feeling of needing to get it out of you too. I think that's what keeps us all going a lot of the time. I know Justin and I have both stepped away from art for like a decent amount of time. And like, cause we both burnt out to some level where we were like, I don't think it's worth it. But I don't know. I'm not going to speak for you, Justin, but for me, it ultimately like never has been a choice and still wasn't. Like I tried to not do it for a while, and then I was eventually just like, well, I have to get this out of me. And what do you think about that? Did you experience that during your break or no?
Yeah, and man, like if there's one Instagram post that like I was shocked that still kind of like has a ripple effect to this day, it's that one where I was like 8 years done, bye. And it was just like I was at a point where like I had 3 jobs. I was working freelance in the industry at that point. This was 2022, and jobs were kind of here and there. I had a lot of work up until COVID, obviously. And then once COVID happened, it slowly came back and I was able to maintain work, but then it went back down again. And then the strikes happened, which added a whole other thing. But it was more like I stepped away from freelancing because I didn't want to, I felt like I was, it's the awful battle of like jumping, running from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. I was settling down with my now wife. I was paying off some stuff. I needed some regular income, and the amount of work that was coming through Seattle, and even still now, like I think there's different departments get different, different needs. Like I work as a script supervisor. Sometimes script supervisors get cut from the budgets usually first if it's like a low budget thing. I am in a peculiar position with the DGA right now as an AD, so I can't like necessarily work on non-union features as an AD unless I'm like skirting around it. So it's so it became difficult to kind of keep a consistent amount of work in Seattle because the amount of it is just not disappearing. Well, it is, but like it's not as open as it used to be. Like the amount of commercial work in Seattle has gone down by a significant amounts, and a lot of movies and TV shows aren't being shot here. I mean, more obviously, it's like there's Vancouver that takes up a lot of the studio work that does come from like LA. Like they don't come here; they go to Vancouver because there's a infrastructure there and a better benefits, and it's to a degree like cheaper to make things there too. Whereas here it's like, yeah, we have the tax incentive, but anyway, this is getting too much in the weeds about kind of like the political landscape of film. But for me, at the end of the day, I just need something to maintain a steady income and focus on my work at this point. And my short film From the Depths kind of gets into kind of like where my headspace was. That's a very moody, kind of somber, reflective piece about kind of like, what's it like to be in someone's head that's kind of spiraling and being like, what am I doing? So yeah, long-winded way of saying figured it out.
Hey, I love the in the weeds conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Insider stuff.
It's the tequila, man. It's coming through.
It's very fun. I do think before I get into like the question off of that more closely related to King Kong, everything y'all are saying, I'm not a creative. I write, but I'm not like professionally doing it yet. I have started my children's book officially. Hopefully that goes well. But it's reminding me of kind of how I feel about coaching wrestling, and how like coming back to wrestling now feels like I can't ever leave it again. It's a necessity for me. It's like one of the favorite things I do. And Justin, something you said about like going through all the grueling irritations to see the product is like so worth it. And I've seen that with like coaching, and especially young children, where it's like, we have practiced the double leg takedown for 37 days. And then they like finally get it. And you're like, ah! Like that's the greatest moment ever. And to know that like that's in their muscle memory now. And so like, it's actually like physically built into them, where it can be like, hey, remember that last time when you did it right? Yeah. Okay. Try to do that again and like feel what that felt like. So I think that very much is related to kind of what you're talking about with that feeling. Speaking of labors of love, I want to talk about King Kong. If you felt the sort of same sense that I get from this movie and from Lord of the Rings, really, Peter Jackson seems to bring out, especially when he watches behind the scenes stuff, that he just loves the craft. And like everyone on the set is having a blast, even on the hard days, it seems like, and they're all like weird together, and it's great. What are some of your favorite projects, either of your own or just like favorite movies that you've seen that really shine through? And what do you think is the element, other than obviously actually loving it, but like, I don't know, what do you think goes into a project to make people really connect with it on a way of like knowing, oh man, this person who made this loved it?
Gosh, another good question. Let's talk like to keep it with Peter Jackson. One of my favorite things that he put out was the Hobbit like production videos or diaries that he did. He would like put them out like every month or every couple months while they were making the Hobbit. And I just thought it was so cool to like get like a peek more into like what kind of like a time and a place and kind of what they're focusing on, like kind of seeing kind of the camaraderie with each other and the sense of community that has been built in New Zealand as a film industry. There's actually a really good documentary too that I'm forgetting her name, but she used to be like the nostalgia chick, and she does like these really interesting kind of deep dive videos about kind of the industry and I think novels as well. But she did a video about the New Zealand film industry, which kind of opened up more of the gray area of that realm, because of like, once Lord of the Rings came there, it created this whole kind of industry for them, a robust one, and they were able to have some productions go there. I think Avatar is shooting there now, or at least like the 2 and 3, maybe Australia, I can't remember, but I know James Cameron lives in New Zealand, and I know he's a big fan of like working there. But again, like the amount of like work and productions that Weta Studios and Peter Jackson has to do to keep up the economy of that space is always kind of in demand. So it's interesting to me that he kind of slowed down as a filmmaker. But again, just watching all his production diaries from The Hobbit, again in particular, all the way to like the Lord of the Rings, like Blu-rays and DVDs of like the it seems again like the King Kong making of is just the endless amount of material, just from like actors' perspectives to all the way down to catering. And it reminded me a lot too of like another behind the scenes thing that I really love, and just seeing kind of like the intensity in the craft is the making of a minute, which is like the making of Star Wars Episode 3 is kind of like this one like minute long scene from the Mustafar sequence that they it's like an hour long making of, and they break down every department and how they were able to bring this scene to life. So really, it's like I think what gravitates people to stories like this, stories like stories that draw people in, is more so about kind of how things came together. And I think that's becoming more and more of a lost kind of medium. And that's why I appreciate filmmakers that do commentary still, because I think it's like it's an underappreciated medium of the craft. So I think people just like to see the bits and bobs of it all still.
Yeah, or like the Netflix released that Frankenstein making of Frankenstein, like documentary that kind of came alongside the movie. But you're right, like until that dropped, I didn't realize how I'm like, oh crap. I like haven't looked into a behind the scenes footage of anything for years. And that used to be one of my favorite hobbies, was like, oh, I'm going to buy the DVD collector's edition, and I'm going to, when I have some time after school, I'm going to watch these behind the scenes things, which is cool. But Clay?
Yeah. And Peter Jackson's stuff in particular is fantastic. Not just for geeks of film or like film buffs, but like if you're working in the film industry or you intend to, if you think you might want to, you should watch all of the behind the scenes for Lord of the Rings. You should watch the King Kong behind the scenes, especially if you like those movies, because they take their time with it. They walk you through the entire process, and they usually kind of do it in a linear fashion. So it's like in order of the movie, they show you, this is how we did this. This is how we did this. This is a fun story that happened with this. This is the whole crew working together. You can literally see. They even show you some of the harder times, like in the Lord of the Rings one, where they show McClellan just being done, hanging out with a bunch of 20-year-olds, He's just like so done with it. And all those guys are like having the time of their lives. Not that, I mean, he had fun too, but you know what I mean. They're great for seeing like the lifestyle of a healthy film set, and a bunch of professionals doing their jobs, and good demonstrations of how much work it is, but also how awesome it can be. I wanted to say that. What was your actual question?
Kind of that. I mean, it was like, what are some of your favorite projects where you can see the labor of love factor just coming in, like shining out big time?
Yeah, and I mean, I would say movies made by directors like that. I think it can be evident in lots of different ways. I think it's evident in Eggers' work as well. He like very clearly feels what he's putting on the screen, and he is dedicated to putting his own stamp on something, but also honoring his source material. I think he's a lot like Peter Jackson in that way, but obviously with a very different style and very different priorities, which is why he's perfect for the horror genre right now and absolutely slaying it. And there's a lot of other directors and stuff that I could yammer off, and also of whose names I'm forgetting right now, but that's just fine, Those are good examples. Yeah. I think that's enough. You can see it in books too. You can see it in everything. Like I do think the work of like Stephen Graham Jones is particularly good at that. Just feeling like it's bleeding onto the page kind of stuff.
I love that you mentioned Eggers, because I watched an interview with Skarsgård about the Northman a couple of months ago, and the way he describes it is like how I would describe a college wrestling practice, of like,
yes,
every part of it sucked, and like he kept saying, cut, we have to do the one shot again, like over and over, and I'm drenched and it's cold and I'm miserable. But then when he said like, cut, that's a wrap, you never had a more euphoric feeling of like, yes. It was like, I love that can like translate. That's probably the closest like sport related thing I've heard to like my experience as a college athlete. Was like, yeah, I know that feeling, man. That's sweet.
That scene, just side note, that scene's one of my favorite scenes ever. It's
The
so
Oner.
Yeah, it's
The Oner
so
storm in the
it's
fort.
fucking good.
It's incredible. Like that. Like I remember liking The Northman when it came out, but on rewatches, I've fallen in love with it more and more. Eggers is like one of the best working right now. He's my favorite. Currently working young filmmaker or of his generation's filmmaker. He's so good.
Yeah, he has no misses
totally
yet, in
No.
by my estimation. Which there's very few. I even think like I love Nolan, but Nolan has a miss in his category. In my
What's the miss?
The third act of Dark Knight Rises, I think, is pretty weak.
So you like Tenet? Interesting.
I was a Tenet fan. It was my kind of weird, man.
I felt like he went too far, but you know, it's I've been told to give it a rewatch, so maybe I'll like it on a rewatch.
I felt like it was Nolan finally just like unleashed in a way, and I was like, all this philosophical stuff you dance around, someone was just like, here you go, try it out. And like for people like me, I was like, this is dope.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jeremy.
Well, you know, like there's always, you can always kind of feel it when something is like a labor of love. And I'll say, even if it's something that you don't like when we talked about when we were talking about Keeper just very recently, that's definitely a labor of love, and I hated it. But you know, you can still feel the love. It's too bad it also sucks. But like when I am in the mood for a labor of love, I'll probably go for just any Edgar Wright thing. You know, because every time he makes a movie, every single detail, and even every from the costuming to every single shot, the dialogue, the script, just every single thing has as much thought and care put into it as you can get, from writing to filming to directing, editing, just all the way down the line, and it shows, and it's great. So yeah, I'm just gonna curl up after this, watch Scott Pilgrim, and just have a great time.
I agree with you. I want to make this episode, since we have Justin, our like just general film nerd episode. So if you guys want to take this next comment wherever you want, I kind of want to not push back Jeremy, because I think you're 100% right that Edgar Wright, you can feel the love in most his movies. But have you seen The Running Man?
No,
because I hated it. And like it did not feel like an Edgar Wright film. It was weird.
You know, I think Edgar Wright is a very important filmmaker of this century, and I think he's made a lot of great films with Simon Pegg. And I think that needs to be noted with Simon Pegg, because I think the things he's done without Simon Pegg, it's noticeable in terms of kind of the energy. I do love Scott Pilgrim. I think Scott Pilgrim is fantastic, and it's like the most kind of like he's pushing the visual and technical medium in ways that like is so refreshing. But then you get to like, for me, Baby Driver, I'm lukewarm on Baby Driver. I like Baby Driver fine, but it's not one that I'm like, head over heels on. There's some great stunt work in that. But story wise, I'm it's not my flavor. The one where I really was disappointed with him was Last Night in Soho.
That's your flavor.
Yeah, and I was so confused by it, because he seems like the type of guy that loves giallo horror. He loves he made a fake trailer for the Grindhouse films Don'ts, and that energy is there. And I just feel like he really just made a very straightforward horror film with generic jump scares. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like, this is not the Edgar Wright that I know. So I'm very curious to check out Running Man to see if he tackles that same visual flair that I loved him for. But in terms of like films that he was really captivating with. It was mostly with the Cornetto trilogy and Scott Pilgrim for me. But he has his he is still, I think, a very important figure, and a lot of that in the comedy realm.
Yeah, I will say, real
Ant-Man
quick plug
was also good.
Well, he didn't
Ant-Man was
direct
good.
Ant-Man.
He started to though.
I know he
directed
had
parts of it.
like influences with like the visual style of like.
Oh, is that
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
He didn't direct any of it.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
he
got
he
kicked
was
off.
signed on to initially be the director, but walked
think
away
would've been-
because he didn't want to
would've
do the Marvel crossover stuff.
That's fair.
would have been even better with him. And but I will say one quick plug. All of my thoughts about Running Man are summarized in perfect fashion from Meathead Media writer Zeb Boos, who did an article called Glenn Powell and His Punchable Face on Substack, Meathead Media. Check it out. It 100% encapsulates what I thought about that movie. I was very disappointed. But real quick, I do want to say my like labor of love films are anything Richard Linklater touches. Everybody Wants Some, I think, is the most underseen, beautiful bro movie ever made. It slaps a big stupid grin on your face. You cannot walk away from it without being like, that was so fun and I'm so happy right now. And like every character gets a like little mini arc that you love, even the most hateable ones in the beginning. Yeah, big fan of Linklater. I think he like shines in that realm of like, you can just feel that he's making chill, loving movies, and I love that. But
on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, I also feel that from, remind me of his name, the director of Banshees.
Martin McDonough.
Martin
right?
McDonough.
Yeah.
He's awesome. And there's no way you don't love movies with your entire soul, or you would not be able to make them that like tragic and sad. Because it takes true love to understand true heartbreak, I think. And his movies just ooze with that. Like Banshees is one of my favorite movies, and it's tough because it's one of those movies that you just can't really share with people. You know, you can, but it's a very select group of people who are going to watch Banshees and ever take a second recommendation from you. They're going to be like,
and there's,
I thought this movie was good. What is he talking about?
There's not even like,
amazing.
I feel like there's not even a starter Martin movie. Like you can't be like, oh, you're not ready for Banshees, so go watch 7 billboards outside. 3 billboards outside.
Maybe
Missouri.
7 Psychopaths.
Maybe 7 Psychopaths. But even that one has like the scene with the like flashback of Christopher Walken's character with like a throat scar and all, like that still killed me. I'm like, there's nothing you can recommend about Martin without just being like, you're about to be emotionally devastated.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. It's a devastating insult. You're devastated right now. Yeah, so I love McDonough. Who did In Bruges? Did he do that too?
That was him.
Yep. That was that was his first big hit.
That's one of my favorite movies as well. So I obviously really love McDonough. That would be my other big example right now.
Off of this, in the movie nerd thing, here's a question. Since you just listed 2 that I think have no misses, Martin and Robert Eggers.
Yes.
Anyone at like who do you think in your filmography memory are directors that have 0 misses? They're like batting 100 right now.
0.
I don't know nearly.
I gotta look at my movies.
Just
do
this.
That DVD collection. I saw that and I was like, I'm gonna ask all my film nerd questions.
Oh yeah.
It's hard. It's hard because like even my boy Spielberg has misses.
Yeah.
Especially
well, you work that long.
Like that.
Yeah, I feel like you work that long, you can't avoid them. I don't know if there's anyone with a long.
Who do we know that's just one and done?
One and done. Oh, you know what? I just saw a film, Night of the Hunter. That director, he's primarily an actor. He did that film, and that was it. So there you go.
Seriously, that was his only.
I think it's Richard
movie?
Madden is the director.
That's insane because that movie
Wow.
is insanely good.
Yeah, movies, and I was like blown away by it. I was like, what the fuck? This is from like 1955, and he's cooking this hard. Oh, Charles Lawton, Robert Mitchum is the lead. My bad.
Oh,
God, I don't know, because Eggers is the guy I point to at the moment.
Eggers and McDonough. And I have a question. Does anybody know? I could be totally wrong on this, but to my knowledge, Drew Goddard has only directed Cabin in the Woods and that Casino Royale movie.
Bad Times at the El Royale.
Bad Times at the El Royale.
I think
And some
besides
TV.
TV, he definitely hasn't directed a ton. Oh, nope, he made The Martian, which is also great.
Yeah. He produces a lot.
He does. He's directed 5 movies.
Okay. What are the other ones?
Actually, no, he's only directed 2 movies: Bad Times at the El Royale and Cabin in the Woods. He wrote The Martian.
Okay.
I
think
so
he's
yeah,
pretty good.
he's
Episodes of The
he's
Good Place.
He's got 2 check marks, which is cool.
Yeah. He directed a couple episodes of The Good Place and produced it. And I don't know if he worked on Firefly, but he was connected to most of Joss's other stuff. So
I was big on Denis Villeneuve. I still am, but I definitely wasn't huge on Enemy.
Oh, I don't like Enemy?
I don't know. I got to rewatch it. I think I didn't watch it. I wasn't ready for what it was.
I'm not a big Arrival guy, but I need to
I loved Arrival.
I know. I think I need to reevaluate it, but he might be one because I love almost all his work. So he might be one.
2049 was fantastic.
Oh my god.
I love Dune
So
1 and
good.
2. But Jeremy, do you got any that are sticking out to you?
See, it's really hard because basically all of my favorites do like have instances of like doing something crazy and huge and like bombastic and really emotionally just resonant and all that stuff. So, you will have stuff like the Wachowskis with Speed Racer and the Matrix trilogy, and then you have them with like Jupiter Ascending and the last Matrix movie. It's
I
like,
like dogs. I like dogs.
Okay.
That was the worst line.
Yeah, I'll bet. But that's the issue I run into, like where if somebody is my favorite, they basically cannot be like bat 1,000. Like it's impossible.
I agree. It's hard because it's like I mean, despite not even more than his recent comments, but like Tarantino, he bats pretty high for the most part. I would say up until after Django, and I like Hateful Eight fine, but like I was not a big Once Upon a Time Hollywood guy. Death Proof has mileage, but like I just saw the Kill Bill Whole Bloody Affair in theaters, and I was just like, damn, he really was just intense with like the way he was directing things. It was just remarkable to see a movie like that again in that setting, and just being like, oh, we had that at one point.
I'm flip-flop with you on the I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I'm pretty lukewarm on Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the minority with Once Upon a Time, which is fine. It's just for me, it's reiterating Inglourious Bastards, to which I'm just like, all right, well, I see what you're doing here, and it's cute, but like for me, I was more into the Brad Pitt, like just hanging out in LA, than I was with the Leo stuff. And I would say I like the Leo stuff more in One Battle After Another than I do in Once Upon a Time.
Has
Like, in
he
terms of,
had
like,
Has he had a dud?
Leo? The Beach.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh, PTA.
The Beach.
No, that's actually
The
no,
Beach.
This is, no, I actually I think that's a good point. I think PTA is a strong hitter. I am not crazy about Licorice Pizza, but I think for the most part of Licorice Pizza, it does work. So I do think he bats pretty high.
I haven't watched Licorice Pizza yet. I recently finally saw Phantom Thread. And my word, is that movie good? My wife was like, why are we watching a movie about like a seamstress guy? And I was like, I can't explain to you why this is like one of the most beautiful films. You walked in halfway through. I'm just going to have to show it to you later. Like I can't walk you here. We're at a moment that is too late, babe.
That's a good poll, PTA. And his making of for Magnolia, that moment is really good too, and it really shows kind of like a very kind of not flashy, like movies are dreams and magic. You know, it shows kind of like how he made this kind of chaotic movie.
If you could pick a movie that you're nostalgic about, but you fear is
Aristocats.
already fading into the ether, which one would you pick? Would you pick Aristocats to preserve forever?
You mean like just like people don't know about it?
Yeah, like
Or
it's already fading. So like we are now getting to that age where we're getting old enough that nobody knows our shit anymore. And so we're going to start to see the things that the next generations carry on, but we don't get to pick what those are. If you could pick one, what would you make sure got to stay around?
Faust by Murnau. It's a very like film bro-y pick, but like I think Faust really I've just gone through F.W. Murnau's kind of filmography earlier this year, and he's a fantastic silent filmmaker, and watching Faust, I just think it's like a spectacular execution of production design, technical prowess, and acting and storytelling. And I just think I to kind of bring it back to Tarantino in a way, and to a degree Tarantino. No, because I don't want to lump those two together. They're totally different people. But like I feel like you had to be kind of slick and quick-witted, and your characters had to be kind of wild and exuberant, and you just had to be really kind of flashy. Watching there's a movie called The Last Laugh from like 1922 or something like that.
Oh yeah, isn't that what they based like the Joker kind of design in some? Maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, that's The Man Who Laughs.
Oh, The Man Who Laughs. That's
Yeah, which I watched on a plane earlier this year, and is very much so that. The Last Laugh, though, there's a scene that Christopher Nolan pays homage to where a building is cascading on itself, and it's this cool kind of technical kind of transitional visual effects that was pretty wild to see at the time. But it's very similar to like the Inception's kind of weird folding in on itself city. But I watched that film and I was just blown away by like what you could do with like silence in film. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. Like, of course it's like, it's a visual medium for a reason. So I really gravitated to those films. And I think it's important for people who are interested in getting into filmmaking and, or want to learn more about film, is to watch like even a silent film like that, but in particular Faust, because I think Faust is so harrowing of a film. So
yeah.
Nice. Do you have one, Travis?
Weirdly, it's not even close to one of my favorite films, but I think it's a movie that I love that like even before recently nobody knew about, and everyone I show it to is like, wow, this is great. Ghost in the Darkness, which was like our childhood, like Val Kilmer, Michael Douglas, Hunting Lions. Pretty well made. Like there's flaws. There's a lot of flaws.
Absolutely.
But like it's a compelling film, well paced, well acted, really good story. And I'd say 100% of people I've been like, hey, you want to watch this lion killing movie? And they're like, what is this? Val Kilmer's in this? And I'm like, yeah, sit down and enjoy. And they're like, how did I not see this? Like,
yeah.
So that
Do you want to watch Jaws, but with lions?
Lions and Michael Douglas playing the most like American person ever.
Second only to Van Zandt.
That's exactly what I was. Yeah.
Reign of Fire. Oh,
he is America.
Yeah. It doesn't get more American than that.
Ghost in the Darkness actually has merit as a film. Reign of Fire on
No.
rewatches. I'm like, this is such a bad movie, but oh my gosh, is it fun?
It's so fun, but it's also so stupid. It's like if teenage boys were in charge of coming up with how to fight the dragons.
Yeah, like
Let's
I
jump
didn't
out
real-
of planes and fight
I
them in the
didn't-
sky.
I didn't
That'll
realize
work.
until a recent rewatch. I didn't realize that like the plot is that Matthew McConaughey takes like half of the citizenry of Christian Bale's whole compound, gets them killed, then
Mission
comes back
one.
and is like, "You still want to help me though, bro?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in."
Crazy.
That is
Oh,
basically
so good.
that is the premise.
So that one can maybe fade into the ether, but Ghost
Wonderful.
deserves
It
a
better
little more
not fade. The
I
Is
hope
that
world
your
needs to
choice?
know.
You get to pick one, Jeremy. Is that the one you
You gotta
choose?
pick one. I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
These are the 4 movies that will exist forever.
Fine.
And then I have a
Screw it.
pretentious question.
Let's just do Demolition Man. I don't
Ooh,
think
that's a good poll.
Sure.
It's
That's a good
great.
poll.
It's great, but not in a way where it's like good and makes sense. So it's similar to as if I had chosen Reign of Fire, but weirder. Oh my god, so good.
What is it?
Wait, you-
Taco
okay.
Bell won what, the brand wars or something? Or
Yeah, they won the franchise
The
wars.
franchise wars.
Now
Yeah.
every restaurant is Taco Bell.
Clay,
Oh my
I feel like
God.
there's a lot of pressure on you to answer your own question because I think right now we have like the perfect combo of like mid-tier, decent, compelling film, bonkers as hell but entertaining movie, and like highbrow cinematic art. So what are you throwing in the mix where if this was the time capsule, people would get the whole scope of American cinema?
We are trying to capture the entire cinematic landscape. No pressure.
Does it
No
have to be? I choose not to choose an American movie.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah,
I
it doesn't
choose,
have to be
I choose The Fellowship of the Ring. If
Look at this guy.
but
That's good.
you have to. I mean, that movie's perfect.
Kind of teed
Yes.
him up for it with
So
all of our
amazing.
weird shit.
We did.
Yeah,
I want to.
and I
before-
think it meets the.
But do you
I
think
it
that's
meets-
fading?
Oh yeah, it's got to be something that's fading. That was the original question.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily.
That's not fading at all.
People are still
Fading.
watching
A little
that
bit.
shit.
Yeah, that's not fading at all, and it probably won't. It doesn't need my help. You're right.
No.
Shin Godzilla.
You think that's fading?
Oh yeah, that's gonna fade.
Are you kidding?
It's a Godzilla
People's-
movie. I think it's gonna
Bro!
get buried beneath all the
Bro,
other Godzilla
you're
movies.
cooked. You're cooked. No, you're cooked. You're fucking rage baiting. No,
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not.
No, bro. Do you know how many people bring up Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1 to compared to any other Godzilla film? If you said
That's
Godzilla
true.
versus Gigan, I'd be like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, save that one. Shin Godzilla, bro. You're no like the red tape kind of political satire bureaucracy of what Shin Godzilla is getting across is I think people find that so captivating, and why I still think people talk about it as much as they talk about Godzilla -1.
Mm.
If I had to defend my boy, it's also like my favorite Godzilla film. So I'm
I
just
mean,
like, what?
I'm trying to save it. I just feel like I do,
I
and
don't think it's fading though.
maybe not right this second. It's still pretty new. But think about the Peter Jackson's King Kong, for example. It will eventually fade, and I think it's already started to because they continue to make Godzilla movies, and it will create a temporary surge of like true appreciation. But I think this has also happened to Star Wars to some degree. I think it has happened to Lord of the Rings to some degree. You had The Hobbit, which was completely not the original trilogy, and then you had the show Rings of Power. It definitely happened to Game of Thrones because they botched the landing. In fact, I changed my answer. I saved Game of Thrones because I think it is going to fade because it sucked so hard at the end. I saved seasons 1 through 5.
Smart. I just to go back real quick.
Please.
So, do you think that the original Godzilla film is fading?
Absolutely.
Interesting. Okay,
I also
so
think that's harder though because that is showing a really old movie to a generation with very different taste.
Yeah.
And expectations.
I think the thing that's different between like a Godzilla film and King Kong is that Godzilla's not trying to make the same, like, sure, it's making like a movie that's like, oh, here's Godzilla versus giant monster, or here's a movie, how do we stop Godzilla? That, until they like kind of really start breaking the mold on that, which the anime films kind of get into a little bit. But like regardless, I do think like what Shin Godzilla is getting across is that it's taking the original concept of the first film and recontextualizing it with modern issues. So like kind of US government involvement overseas with Japan to the tsunami Fukushima disaster incident. That played a ripple effect. And that's what the original Godzilla film was getting into, was kind of like the nuclear testing at that time, and how like the fishermen boats were getting affected by nuclear after effects and post World War II Japan. So I think maybe, yes, sure, the original Gojira film could be fading. And I do think that as a franchise, if films are continually going to go and readapt and not reboots, but reimagine kind of what the original film was getting at, I still think it hits the landing at like what thematically Godzilla is about, and what it does best when it does get there. I think Godzilla Minus One is highly entertaining, but I don't think Godzilla Minus One hits the same kind of thematic impact as Shin Godzilla does. Arguably,
it does for me for sure. But I hear you, and I think what you're speaking to is keeping the integrity of the source material alive, and that is sort of a different vibe of making these movies. Obviously, that's much more focused on the narrative and sort of keeping the heart and soul of the IP, instead of just sort of like reaping what the IP can sow for you, which is Godzilla versus King Kong. But like these kind of movies preserve the other side of it, like what the movie was really trying to do at its heart, which was speak to those societal, cultural, and economic factors. And I agree. So I guess I think that they help keep the original Godzilla alive, but I also think they are part of that movie in itself will probably fade. Unless people are huge fans of this and they continue to go backwards. And it's interesting because you can have that talk about other famous monsters that have survived, and we have no idea how many didn't. But like Frankenstein, that has continued to leapfrog into the next generation on the backs of adaptations and other storytellers who care about it enough to keep it going. Dracula, the Wolfman, and I would say like Creature of the Black Lagoon, kind of fading a little bit until Del Toro did Shape of Water and kind of did a sort of other take on the monster. But like, I would still say that's fading, right? So like that's one of the monsters that maybe won't make it. Will Godzilla and King Kong make it? I don't know. What do you guys think? Are they going to be around in another century? Because they impact enough people and will keep stories of them recirculating into society?
I think maybe because of I don't want to call it like the Marvel effect, but like I think there's this thing where, and I hope we can slip in a pretentious question after this, but
please.
I think there's a level to which, so like if we take the average fan and then the movie buff fan, I think King Kong and Godzilla will always have franchise legs and will keep getting like made into these sort of like popcorn summer blockbusters, as long as they keep making money, which they've proven they do. But then every time you have one of those, you're going to have the behind the scenes like film buff guy who's going to keep the other ones going, because they're going to, for lack of a better term, kind of be like neckbeardy about it or gatekeeping. And be like, oh, you thought that was good? Go watch Gojira. Like that's an actual, and I'm not even, I'm this guy. Go watch Shin Godzilla. Go watch Godzilla Minus One. And so they're going to like pull people into recognizing what I would say are like the classic Godzilla movies, who already enjoy the blockbuster summer, like popcorn flick ones, which I have fun with as well. But I do usually, if someone's like, oh man, I love this Godzilla thing, I'm like, yeah, this is good. But like, you want to see a really good movie, like come over here. Let's watch that.
And then you're
I
yelling
don't
at
know.
those people to wait for the T-Rex fight.
Wait, just wait. It's coming.
coming.
It's gonna be so sick. You won't believe the jaw move. You won't believe it.
Yeah.
Just
But
to
I-
jump on that real quick. Sorry, just
No,
the with Godzilla again. Just like Godzilla, I think what's great about Godzilla is his different flavors. Is that he's like Batman, where it's like Batman can be dark and brooding, Batman can be goofy and campy, and I think there's eras of Godzilla where it's like, yeah, there's stuff that is directed at kids, one that's like that is completely bonkers, one that's really fucking sad and somber. And I do think the healthy thing that Toho, the studio behind it, is aware of is that when it's not making money, they dormant the fuck out of that IP. Like Terror of Mechagodzilla was like the last like original run of Godzilla films, made like barely any money. They put Godzilla to sleep for like 12 years, brought him back in 1985, and had legs through the 90s until that stopped making money, and then they put him away, and we didn't get him again until 2014 after the 50th anniversary. So like I'd be curious with kind of like the bastardization of Godzilla in pop culture, especially like seeing my boy in Fortnite. I'm like, huh, interesting. But but I do think that his thematic relevance will stand the test of time. And I'll circle back on kind of my thoughts about like the more classic monsters once we kind of get through these initial discussions.
Yeah. I mean,
Jeremy,
anyone have anything to jump in on?
Nah.
Real quick, I will say I think you're right, Justin. Oh man, I might have lost my thought. Oh, it almost feels to me that's like Marvel should have copied Toho in that way of like instead of like trying to keep this like going after it. Clearly, Endgame was like a time where they should have just been like, put it away for a bit. 10 years down the line, we can bring this all back and people will be like, oh man, we miss it. And like Star Wars tried, it didn't work. But like Force Awakens box office proves that method works. It's just they didn't really make very good movies to like follow it up. But like that proved, people wanted Star Wars because there was enough time between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens that people were like jazzed. That was, I think, still to this day, the most watched trailer of all time is the Force Awakens first trailer. And
I think you're right. But yeah, no, I think there's a built-in kind of like level of like, oh, we haven't gotten one of these in like X amount of time. Like I remember when the 2014 Godzilla was coming out, and I was like, oh my god, he's coming back. Or like when Star when Star Wars was coming back. Like there is like a nice thing, or every day I check Twitter and I'm like, Half-Life 3 won, like I'm always like I'm desperately waiting for the confirmation that I know is out there. And I think like that does help like with long-term value. But in regards to classic monsters, like I just read, I have a project I'm developing right now that like gets into like a lot of like the Frankenstein mythos. So I've read Frankenstein for the first time this year. I've watched a lot of adaptations of Frankenstein, and I think because of that came out like over 200 years ago, and it was like, I think is like referred to maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's referred to as like the first science fiction like novel, or at least like the basis for these type of stories. So I think when it's like a type of archetype story that can be reshaped, remolded, and evolved over time, I think that's that will give it an enduring quality. The same as like Shakespeare's material. Like there's always going to be a version of Hamlet. Like the Northman is that North mythology of Amleth, or there's so many iterations of Romeo and Juliet, or my favorites, Akira Kurosawa does an adaptation of Macbeth with Throne of Blood. So it's like, I think it's very rare to hit the type of kind of like standard, not standard, but like a very familiar story, like Frankenstein and like Dracula, because like Nosferatu is Dracula. So so it's just about like how you owe your flavor to it, and I think Guillermo's flavor to it, and Kenneth Branagh's flavor to it, and the Hammer horror films flavor to it gives us different and interesting takes on Frankenstein. As much as I think like what we're getting with Godzilla, King Kong, I don't think we're getting that much flavor in different approaches to Big Monkey. So as much as I love King Kong and Kong's hand in the MonsterVerse right now, I don't know about his kind of long term. I think what's impressive about him is kind of what he represents as in terms of technical milestones.
Yeah, and he's
I
not.
think he.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you, Justin. I think the King Kong remake was more about him making a new King Kong, but he didn't want to change it. I mean, he was dead set on doing so many things, like that jaw-breaking scene. And King Kong literally tries to do it like 5 times, which I kind of liked a lot. But that's from the original King Kong, and he was like, "That's going in there. It's going in there twice." Okay,
it's not negotiable.
Not negotiable.
Non-negotiable. I hope if we have a little bit of time, indulge me on my question of the week. Because I think we've been circling around it in a real big way, and that is, I've been meaning to ask this to somebody for a while. So thank you for the opportunity, Justin. We have 2 things going on. So here's how I'll set it up. We have, right now, like Netflix is openly admitted that they're making films that are like baking into their scripts sections where people can just be on their phone and like not care about the movie, which is really depressing. It's like proven through psychological study after psychological study that we're killing our attention spans, and I see it working in a school a lot of times. So that's like the sad part. Then it also seems like we are having this renaissance of like rejection of that. And I guess my question to end the show, hopefully not on a dour note, is, do you think it'll be enough? Do you think there's a way out of this sort of wanting to consume just the easy eye candy piece off the shelf and actually get back to like what I think King Kong is it can appeal to both audiences. It's a very compelling action film, but it also has a lot of depth, and like it's going to bring you into an appreciation of film that I think will develop into a larger fandom of like wanting to see better things. Whereas the movies purposely made for people using their phones, I think are going to do the opposite, where that'll just get you used to that kind of movie and you won't want to explore out. So I guess, do you as a filmmaker see a light out of that, or are we kind of in a lose-lose situation? Hopefully it's a positive answer.
It's tricky because every like I've been venomously against generative AI as of late, and I think it's like important to jump on that in terms of like stopping kind of like the or enforcing some kind of regulation on generative AI in terms like how is it being used. Like I think artificial intelligence in filmmaking is fine, like in terms like its tools, because we've been using it like even the making of the King Kong documentary gets into like kind of simulations with like kind of like cars and character models walking. Like that's been around for a while, and the artist is still having a hand in that. Generative AI is becoming more of a concern because it's adding to like what you're saying about the Netflix kind of building a kind of model here in terms of like kind of making the viewer more of a zombie, is just the instant gratification of what we can have at the palm of our hands. Like the fact that like I can like 3-screen, like, you know, I have the movie playing and I'm looking at my phone, I'm missing anything because the characters are like describing something to me or what have you, I think is like complete is really devaluing storytelling and devaluing movies. And I I'm more concerned about the generation that comes after us, because we've lived in a time and a place where we've identified what quality films were and what quality films are out there. You know, one bad after another is a quality film that barely made its money. But then there's a movie like Sinners that made so much money because it is unique, it's different, and it's culturally more open than a lot of films that are being made. So it's just the type of movies that studios are putting out. If the Warner Brothers deal goes through with Netflix, which is more and more likely, based on just kind of like how Paramount is trying to sidestep in by offering a bigger deal and getting the Trump administration somewhat involved. I think it's kind of Warner Brothers doesn't even have to sell. I don't know why they're doing this. Zaslav wants like just more money in the end, it seems like. They had a good year this year, so there's no reason for them to sell. They have DC, and DC is just starting to get their kind of shit together after 10 years. And they got Legendary Pictures, which, you know, also had a film that saved them in the pandemic. That film was Godzilla versus Kong. Anyway, you know, at the end of the day, I don't understand the deal. I think the deal is a little dumb. I just think it's about just consolidating things into one conglomerate megacorp entity where everything is the same. And I think the future, I would say we're in the dark ages right now with the twang of the Wild Wild West because of like how the industry is changing. I think if anything, indie film will be on the rise, and that I think we'll get a lot of experimentation within the indie world. Outside of A24, I think A24 is kind of going in a interesting direction right now. But I do think that like studios, like this distribution hubs like Neon, and to a degree Movie, like are bringing in unique and interesting new voices. And I think it'll be a matter of just kind of how those films are distributed. But it's hard to say with Warner Brothers because I think this would be a 2 to 3 year thing, and you know, you're losing just a major studio chain that's helping the theatrical distribution. So I think cinema is going to change, and I think it's up to independent artists to find a way to find new distributors on a lower level that can get movies into theaters and get word of mouth going, and utilize popular social media apps like TikTok to help maybe push that algorithm. But it's really like it's selling a movie is so much different these days. So it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of like there could be something good where we get an indie boom where just a lot of unique stories are coming out, and we're dealing with kind of in a way the death of cinema. So it's a catch-22. I don't know. It's not. It's like it's kind of like we'll see what happens kind of answer. So in my long-winded rambling way is just kind of saying we're kind of fucked, but hopefully things will be better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know. See, I think yeah, and it's weird coming across as an optimist. It always feels weird to me.
No, we need them, please.
Hey, yes, here we go. I think that there is, like, especially when we're talking about, like, say, Netflix, like, adding in points in a movie for you to look at your phone. I think the light at the end of the tunnel for stuff like that is, to me, pretty obvious that, like, it is and it'll happen pretty quickly, demonstrating the short-sightedness of making content designed for people to not pay attention to, especially when you're dealing with a visual medium. Like, if I don't know how it is for you guys, but basically everyone I know, if they spend 20 minutes while a movie's playing just on their phone, they're just going to turn off that movie because it's distracting them from the shit they're doing on their phone. Whereas if a movie is, good and worth watching and stuff, like that makes you put it down. There's no turning on, say, I don't know. Well, I guess it depends on the audience, but for me anyway, if somebody turns on a movie that's worth watching, then just that's the only place I can be. It's and I think this kind of thing will do interesting things to, say, the landscape of film for a bit, because there will be people trying to jump on the bandwagon of making stuff that people will just try to consume mindlessly or whatever. But you will also have the great and wonderful films are art snobs coming in and making, trying to elevate film to sort of counteract that, to give people the alternative to just, I don't know. I was gonna say a popcorn flick, but popcorn, that's just like, oh man, I'm just gonna
consumable. Yeah,
consumable. But designing a consumable to not be consumed is just it's just stupid. It's a bad idea, and it's going to go badly.
I want to jump in here real fast, Clay, so that you can just say yours and then maybe bring us out. But I think, to me, the positive, maybe light at the end of the tunnel is people historically forget. And I've talked to a lot of people who do kind of talk about the Renaissance in a certain way, like it's all these geniuses that just came up with new stuff. It's no, it means renewal. And what they were doing was going back to the old stuff and doing it again. And I'm I think I've started to see that, like you say, Justin, in the indie sphere of people are sick of what's this diluted version of the old, and they're actually bypassing it and going back to the original and being oh, this is what this came from. Let's just do that again. And I think we're going to get more of that and have a true to the form Renaissance of all forms of art, not just film, but I think as much in literature as Clayton's introduced me to a lot of horror where I'm this is great. This is going back to the roots of what we love in writing and kind of bypassing this diluted version we've gotten for years.
There's so much good horror out there, and it's very much in a renaissance of its own, both in literature and film. It's just fantastic to be a horror fan right now. With AI stuff, as you guys know, I'm pretty vehement about my hatred for it. I do truly believe it is pure evil, generative AI. But I also have to be fully self-aware here and cognizant that I am a man gripping to the edge of a cliff, and I am eventually going to fall off. That cliff is eventually going to crumble. You can't make it so that things remain the same as they are now. And a friend of mine who's a therapist had a really good line the other day that I've been quoting a lot. But it's people don't fear change, they fear loss. And I think that's really true, because that's kind of what we're going through right now. We think that the bad thing is the change, but what we really fear is the loss of the art form, the loss of creative people, the loss of the ability to be a professional creative, because that really does bring things to a different level. When you stop being a hobbyist and start doing it for a living, it changes the way you approach it. It makes you a student of it. And I'm not saying you can't be a student of it and basically a professional level creator as without making it your job. You certainly can, but you still have to put in the same amount of hours. And there's something beautiful about making it as much of your life as you really want to, you know, which is like extremely difficult to do, and something that I know Justin and I are both experiencing on some level. There's ups and downs in it. It's a lot of work. It's hard, and of course, you fear that AI is going to take the beauty out of that, and like, because it's devaluing the work, it's devaluing the process, it's devaluing the journey, and it's really hard for me to see to the end of that tunnel. But I do believe, sort of similar to you, Travis, humanity always works in cycles. It goes into these dips and valleys. New things come. People try to keep it the same. People accept and embrace it. People go back in time and are like, that time was better. Let's do that again. And then it keeps doing it. And we're going to do that with technology too. Like, we can't even comprehend what the world's going to be like when we're old, you know? Like, think about the old people in your life right now. What a change. What a change in the way the entire world works. And we happen to be living in a crazy time. I mean, everybody thinks that. But the internet is truly something that just hasn't happened before. And suddenly the whole world hangs out together, whether they like it or not. And that has changed things tremendously and set us on this path we're on. AI is going to do that same thing. And I do have to believe in my soul, the silver lining to all of this is that AI is not an artist. So people will always want to learn about, as we've demonstrated on this program, all people who have watched at least like 100 hours of behind the scenes shit. We want to learn about the process. We want to learn how to make it. We want to learn how to do it ourselves and put our own story out there if we really care about stories. And I think most people innately love some form of art, whether they know it or not, but they all do. I truly believe that art is an innately human thing, and one of the best things about us, one of the truest ways we can bring good into the world. So no matter how cynical you are about it, keep creating. It's more important now than ever. So I do say that. That's my rant on that. With that, Justin, you've been a fantastic guest, my friend. We'd love to have you back anytime. Thank you so much for coming on the show and being a movie nerd with us. We knew you were the man for the job. Can you tell the good people of the Fermented universe one more time who you are, where they can find you? And then we'll rate this thing and go away.
Hell yeah. Well, no, thank you again, guys. This was so much fun. I just love yapping movies and getting a little tipsy with it too. But yeah, no, so you can find all my work. I have a handful of horror shorts that I've published online. You can all find that on justinrobertvinall.com. Has all the stuff I've directed and all the stuff I've produced. And then I have a film, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show. It's a proof of concept cosmic horror film called Stargazer. It's about this retired astronomer who looks back on his life with regret and remorse for not kind of having a family and obsessing over this kind of star that he's been studying over the last 30 years. And it isn't until he meets this young woman that things aren't exactly what they seem to be. So that's been playing in festivals right now. It is currently streaming until this Friday on the HP Lovecraft Film Festival streaming service through Aventive. You can find that also through my website as well. The direct link if you're interested in watching it now until Friday. Outside of that, can't wait till they release Half-Life 3.
Hell yeah.
It's coming someday. It's coming someday.
They're gonna do it.
I there's so much there, and I'm like, brother, just announce it. So I have hope, and they gave me renewed hope after Half-Life Alyx. So I'm like, I'm back, baby.
All right. Well, we'll hold on. We'll hold on to hope, and in the meantime, we'll rate this movie and go away. Thank you all for riding with us for so long. Our rating system is bananas and useless, but maybe it's useful to you if you want to have a funner time watching this movie. We rate it by how many drinks or whatever else you need to enjoy this movie to the absolute fullest. Okay, Travis, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Okay, mine's risky. Okay, because if you can't handle it, it's gonna put you to sleep in the second act. But I think this would work for me. You want to start heavy. Okay. So you've got a lot of drinking on the boat. You've got Jack Black being the most stereotypical, like old-fashioned director, and he's putting the liquor away.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're gonna drink as if you're in a smoky lounge with old Jack Black as the Orson Welles parody. You want to slam him. You want to Churchill it, right? Wake up, scotch. Slow down, scotch. Whatever Kendrick Lamar would say. You're probably gonna have like a whole glass and a half, maybe two in the first act. And then when you get to Skull Island, that's when you want to start acting like you're actually with them as a survivor. And so you're going to be drunk. You want to get to act 2 drunk. And then you want to start drinking water because you're like, oh crap, this is real. There's a giant monkey and dinosaurs and all my friends are getting killed in this pit of despair. And so this is why I say you might fall asleep. Because if you're a person who, when you sober up, just conks right out, I'm sorry, this won't work for you. But if you're like me, where you can sober up and then like kind of hit this emotional level, you're going to hit the sober moment right at the Empire State Building. And then you're going to bawl. And so however many drinks it takes, get drunk, act 1, start drinking water, act 2, act 3, be sober and overly emotional and hit that really crying scene pretty hard.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, how about you?
Now look here.
Okay.
Everyone. There needs to be a strategy at all times, obviously.
Yeah.
And sometimes that strategy is just, hey, you pull out from your own private collection a dusty wooden crate with 12 bottles of Johnny Walker in it, and then you try to drink those throughout the movie. 12 for one viewing of the movie, and definitely call the ambulance first.
Okay. Pre-call the ambulance and take those Johnny Walkers right to the face the way King Kong does when he comes down to the shoreline.
Exactly.
I like Travis's rating. I think that one's really fun. You will want to be careful. You want to be in the right state of mind when you get to that Empire State Building because, boy, it's going to be sad. It's going to be sad. It still gets me. It got me today. I was pretty surprised. I didn't expect that. But, boy, that one really tugs at the heartstrings. So yeah, be careful. I think Travis has a pretty good rating. I was going to say something similar, and I was going to add either if you like tobacco or weed more and you like to smoke, go ahead and add that in and just smoke every time you see homeboy the chef smoking. And you'll have a Lumpy. You can do that instead. Yeah, R.I.P. Lumpy. Shout out. You can do that instead of drinking water if you want to play on hard mode. Because you'll come down from the liquor still, but you'll be adding something new to it. And I don't know how that works for you with being emotional, but I feel more emotional high, but also more willing to be emotional. So Justin, what do you think, buddy?
Oh, bud. Oh man. So elaborate. I guess as soon as the opening title pops up, when you're in New York, slam a shot, tequila, you're done. You're getting warmed up. Don't drink for the first 30 minutes. Then once he gets on the boat, start cracking a crispy, getting a cider, IPA, whatever it is. Just coast along. Get to Skull Island, you're still coasting. Brontosaurus scene, you do 2 shots. You can't get like that Brontosaurus scene is rough, and to help maybe with being immersed into it more, just
one for the bad visuals, one for the Wilhelm script.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to those boys. Yeah, and then just coast along on that cider until the end of the movie. Like, like you don't need to like toast yourself up to a point where the movie's incomprehensible, but you need to just kind of get a little warm up going, and then really just kind of help the visuals for kind of how overly designed it can be at times with a couple shots. And I think the best area to do that is the Brontosaurus scene, because what a mess.
It sure is. It sure is. Like this show sometimes is, but not tonight, because Justin, you've been fantastic. Thanks again for coming on. And thank you, Travis and Jeremy, for joining me. As always, if you're listening and not watching, I'm Clay, and that's everybody on the screen. Yeah, this has been King Kong. We will see you next week, where we're debating The Nightmare Before Christmas with Eric Keevan, my co-chair of the Seattle Horror Writers Association. He's awesome. He's a poet, and I know he loves this movie, or maybe he hates it. We'll see what the dice gods decide. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episodes and you haven't yet done it, please go to our Patreon, like, comment, subscribe, do all that shit, and say hello out there. We love to talk to people. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.